Well, in 2015, something very unexpected happened. I was close to 2 years in on a project with a team that was helping me revamp and grow my company at a higher level. You know, we were doing all these very sophisticated things, having meetings. I had this awesome team of 5 people. We had developed out our marketing department. We're 4 years into having our health fairs, which we ran under the Riverside Community Health Foundation. And our company had grown 45% in 1 year from all this hard work, dedication, and organization. Well, my roof caved in, which was the unexpected. Okay, each year the people that own my building, the building would leak every time the rain would happen, and the people that own my building, they didn't really like fixing the issue. They liked kind of putting a Band-Aid over it and would do the cheapest fix possible. So it would just leak every year. So I got used to it leaking every single year and them having to fix it. Well, 1 year I'm at home and my employee starts to text me, Karla, the roof is leaking a lot. And he starts sending me pictures, and all of a sudden we had to tell all the clients to go home because in the middle of my gym floor it turned into Rainforest Cafe, and there's water pouring out of the ceiling on all the equipment. And I have a ton of pictures showing this. We actually had to shut down the building. Well, this actually happened during one of the worst times that it possibly could. As I'd mentioned, I had a lot of money and time spent into doing a complete reorganization of my company. We had just hired probably 3 new employees. One was to take over management. Like it was a whole management team that was actually coming into my building. Well, when the roof caved in and we had to close down, it actually threw a whole tailspin into my programs, my organization. I actually had to end up letting go a couple of my employees that I had just hired. And over the course of the next year, it cost me about $90,000. And then I had to move locations because it ended up being the right thing to do, the right decision, and it cost me another $60,000 to move. Well, during this time, and I'm giving just the overview of it, you know, I even had other entrepreneurs, which any successful entrepreneur has like 5 or 10 other ones they're talking to, that, you know, because it's important to be talking to other entrepreneurs. You know, my company was in a financial devastation because of what had happened, and you know, and how many clients had been affected. So you know, and I'm a big believer in prayer and in our God, and so what I did is had a moving party. So we actually threw a celebration. None of the clients at this time really actually knew that there was any struggles on the back end, because again, I'm very big on my clients focusing on why they're here as opposed to any company struggle. And so when I'm looking at this, I'm like, how can I solve this without it affecting any client program? I remember when all of these things started to happen, and I just kind of touched on a little bit of them. I remember how stressed I felt. My schedule had just changed. I actually was in the middle of this inspirational campaign of doing 1 to 2 competitions per year. And so I had a year commitment of these competitions that I had all my clients wrapped into. And all of a sudden, my management team is gone. There's all these things in my company that got affected, and I have clients that are upset and that are coming in that just want to have their appointments scheduled, and things aren't happening correctly. I just remember feeling just so stressed out and feeling like, why? I've worked so hard, I'm so dedicated, and things are going so right, and this roof caved in because people just weren't being responsible business owners. They were doing cheap jobs, and they really, were even supposed to not even charge me for that month and still charge me. And so they weren't ethical business people at all. And so it was very hard for me to understand how unethical people can be, to know that I put a lot into being ethical and just doing things right. And I just spent all this time, years, developing out this company. And, I had people suggesting to me maybe I wanted to give up my company and walk away from it or different, and so it was very, very, it was heartbreaking. It was devastating. I struggled with it for a long time. But I also, at the same time that I struggled, I just kept telling myself, every time I would struggle, that I'm going to focus on turning this into a positive, an opportunity, that there's some way that this can be exciting, this can be fun. While I was going through all these devastating feelings, and I've had these devastating feelings multiple times in being an entrepreneur, okay? Especially when you start first experiencing struggle and adversities. So successful entrepreneurs, they build a habit of understanding and not being those shaping them. So I knew without a doubt that God wanted me to move forward with my brand, that he wanted me to affect health trends. He wanted that there was a lot of people that needed healing and help, that there was a lot of suffering from our food habits, okay? And food is a choice, and I would say food habits and then learning how we work as people, the mindset, okay? Those are the two most strongest components. Exercise is a powerful one too, but that's like 20%. It's like a fun enhancer. So, but that mindset and that nutrition, what it does is it takes suffering out of people's lives. Okay, I can't count how many people that go through so many tragedies of cancers, diabetes, all these different things of people they love, and their entire life changes because of these devastations. And there's a lot of things that can be prevented just through our habits. There's a lot of things that can be prevented through people giving true recognition, and recognition is a very powerful word. Recognition and discernment, those are two very powerful words. Recognizing that something is tearing your body apart and creating this huge financial and emotional stressor, like it's like a pink elephant in the room, is very powerful. And I'm very passionate about that, And so translating that message out is very, very important, And so when these things are going on with my building, I knew I had to go forward because I knew that God wanted me to give a message of change on our food and our mindset with how he made us, and how to really find that happiness and serenity that people really want. Happiness and serenity is not in outside things. It's not in our physical body. It's not in all these different things that we tend to gravitate towards or have learned them. Those things can give us, some sort of sense of happiness, but true happiness is serenity in self. It's like the shoulders down test. It's like I feel relaxed, I feel content, I feel happy with what's going on, no matter what's going on, good, bad, or neutral. You could be going through a whole tragedy and feel calm and serene. So all of these things, that's all my self-development program, but it's also the way I live. It's the way I practice running my business. And so when an obstacle comes up, I don't take the approach of being a victim, okay? Even though I was a victim, somebody didn't do what they were supposed to ethically. And so 100% I was a victim, and it cost me a lot of money. And I've been a victim a ton of times, but you won't see me roll over and play victim. I'm actually going to take that as an opportunity to go forward and to create something positive out of it, because I really don't care about being a victim. You can sit there and spend time on, I could have sat there and spent all this time, and I did, I was upset, I was devastated, I complained, I rant and raved, but what I spent most of my time doing was saying, how can I turn this into an opportunity? How can I turn it into a positive experience with my clients, a positive experience with myself, learn something new, and go into an area I'm not used to? And that's what I tried to do the entire time being an entrepreneur, is step and walk out into new areas that I'm not used to being. And this was a big one, and so none of my clients knew. I just met with my marketing team. I said, we're having a moving party. So we did all these marketing things. We actually gave clients these ridiculous promotions, and we said, hey, we're moving to this big, beautiful building. And it was actually a picture of this one, which I have a fun story behind, because I had gone around looking at all these buildings, and this building was off the market when I had come over here. And you couldn't, if you went on the internet, it wasn't on LoopNet, it said not available. I thought maybe they're selling it, or there was something going on that had to do with it not being available, but it would have been empty a year. And I was like, this building is perfect. God wants me to be here. So I went around, I looked at these other places for a month, and then I came back here, and I started going around to the different places in here to try to find out if I could find a broker. And one of the dentists in the back said, well, I think there's a number in the back. And so there's a small little number in the back of the building, and I went back there and I called it. And I said, hi, I'm calling over this building that you have on Indiana. And the guy was like, oh, okay, what kind of business do you have? And I said, oh, well, it's a fitness business. And at first I didn't say who I was, because I didn't want rumors to get out or anybody to worry that there was something wrong with my business. And he goes, oh, okay. Is it like USKO or Karla Adams? And I went, well, kind of like Karla Adams, but he didn't know he was talking to me. So it was kind of fun. And then I was sitting there talking to him and had this whole long conversation about the building. He was like, that's perfect for here. We would love it. It's available. And so at the end of the conversation, I said, oh, by the way, I'm Karla Adams. And then he goes, oh, really? We went to Mexico 2 years ago on a bike riding trip. And so I actually knew the guy, and that's a fun thing about a little town, big town being a little town. So we ended up signing the lease here. I ended up doing I took pictures of the buildings. I went over, we had this whole moving party with the clients and showing them this new exciting location. And so instead of talking to my clients about something horrible that happened to me, and I never mentioned once any of the tragedies, even though they experienced stuff, I just tried to fix things as quickly as possible and keep them focused on their nutrition. So we had this moving party. I gave people tons of promotions. The $60,000 to move, we actually made in promotions. I gave people ridiculously great deals, and they were excited to get these promotional rates that were so cheap that was going to save them all this money. And I just used all the new promotions to actually open this new building. And then I had about 30 clients that volunteered. We broke down all the equipment down to every single little plate, put it into these 2 huge units that a diesel truck had to come and pick up, drove it over here, and we had to take out the class, and then all the clients, or many of the clients, helped put in the floor and re-put together all the equipment. And during this, I still didn't stop my campaign of doing 1 to 2 competitions per month. So the week that we actually moved in here, that actual week, on the Monday, we're filling pods at my other location. That Friday, and we packed everything up into there. That Friday, I had a competition. That Sunday, I slept and went in a hole, or that Saturday, I slept and went in a hole all day. And then that Monday, I was in another fitness competition out by the beach. And then that following week, all the clients came back that helped to volunteer, and we set up this entire gym over here. And so over a 2-week period of time, there was a breakdown of a 200 square foot facility, 2 competitions with 5 of my fitness models, and a total revamp and building up this entire gym so that the current clients were only out of a workout for 5 days. And it didn't mess up a single person's program, which is a big deal, because when somebody's on a lifestyle change, especially in the first 3 to 6 months, consistency is very, very important, especially that first 2 to 3 months. There should be nothing, they need to be taken through, focused on their nutrition, their stats, and all this stuff, and that needs to be protected. They can't be distracted by any business things or any of these other things, because people pick up little things to be distracted about or be disappointed about, or I mean, it really could be disappointing, to get off of a program. But that's how important the dedication here is, and the types of, I don't know,